Hey guys, Tepcocyclerepair. Today we're going to be cleaning a carburetor in a 2009 Yamaha Zuma. So to get to this point where I'm at right now is not real difficult. You have two Phillips heads here and here to take the tray out for the battery. There's one that goes right in the front right here at the front of the tray. All right, so it goes right there in the front of that. You have two Phillips heads here, one there and one there. And then you have two Phillips heads here, one here and one on the other side. And then you can pull this out of the way. And when you pull this out of the way, you're going to have a 10 millimeter here and here, and then right here and right there. And that's for that whole tray where you put your helmet and everything, and you can pull that whole unit out. I almost forgot, you got two Phillips heads, one here and one here as well. And now we're looking at the carburetor. All right, so with the carburetor here, we're going to take these two Phillips heads off, one here and one here. And that's going to loosen up the cable so we can take the throttle cable off. We're going to take the clamp right here off for the air box. Make sure you check your air filter when you're doing this as well. And then we're going to take this off for the intake manifold, the clip for the choke, and then we'll be able to pull it out of the way. This out of the way, don't forget your fuel line is connected right here. You're going to have to catch your fuel. It comes out. There's a pump underneath here as well that works on vacuum. So when you pull the line, if everything's good, it should dump just some fuel out of there, and you shouldn't have any more problems. If it continues to dump it out, you got to look into your pump and your petcock is right underneath there. All right, guys, so when you get to this point and you have the carburetor disconnected, you have a couple options here. There is the oil line that's connected right here. You can pull that off, all right here, but you stand the chance right there. There's a ring that holds it on tight of breaking the line or messing that up. So what I'm going to show you guys how to do here is just hold the carburetor upside down. And we're going to go ahead and just take the bowl off from the bottom. And we'll clean it right here on the bike. All right, so we're looking at this here. Everything looks good inside there. If your carb's really filthy, you got to do a full breakdown. But this one's got some old gas in it. It's been sitting for about a year. It shouldn't be too filthy in there. So what we're going to go ahead and do here is take this. And I'm going to flip it upside down here. I'm going to put a pan underneath there to catch any fuel that drips. And we're going to take these two Phillips heads off. One there and one there. And we're going to get the bowl of this off of here and get this all cleaned up. All right, so here we are with the bowl off. Now I stuck a rag in the intake just to make sure nothing drops down inside there when you're taking the screws off. I'd recommend doing that first. Here's the inside looking nasty, and then those are the two jets we got to get out. That pilot jet right there is going to be clogged, and this is our main jet. That's going to be, looks like pretty nasty. We got to get that cleaned up as well. We're going to take that Phillips head out right there and get the float and the float needle out of the way so we can get that all clean. It's not stuck. That's working good, so we should be able to get these out here and get them all nice and clean. This is your choke. It's an automatic electric choke. So when you turn it on, as it warms up, the heat opens up closes the choke. Right now it stays open. So we're going to go ahead and take these two jets and then Phillips head out and get all those parts out of there. All right, so here's our jet side here. Let's go get this all cleaned up. All right, so an easy way to get all the fuel out of the tank is this is your vacuum line. It goes to the carburetor that actuates the fuel petcock in there. It's automatic vacuum actuated. You want to take your fuel line here and hang your fuel line under a catch. So I got the pan down here. And if you put a little bit of pressure on this, if you suck on this a little bit and then bend and then hold the pressure, it will pour out. So I'm just going to suck on it a little bit to open up the valve. All right, and then I'm going to just pinch it like that. And that thing will dump all out. So now the valve is being held open, and we're going to dump all that old fuel out. I'm just going to fill it up with fresh. So I just got to pinch like that, and it'll dump all the fuel out. Good yellow fuel. All right, so when you're done, when it's dripping, you just release this here. And then I'm going to put fresh fuel in here. I'm using 91 ethanol-free fuel. So I'm going to do that again and just so I have fresh fuel coming through the lines and everything and dumping into the pan. So I know that all the lines and all the fuel it's going to be getting is going to be new, fresh fuel. I never trust any fuel that comes in the bikes that you're working on, okay? So we're going to go ahead and put some new gas in there. Now there's a square nut right there on the bottom of the petcock. It's a 10 millimeter. You can unscrew that and make sure that you have, it's a little screen in there. It's a filter. So let me take that out and we're going to clean that as well. All right, so this is on the bottom of the petcock. You can take this off. It's a 10 millimeter square, and it'll catch any debris that comes down in it. There's no filter or anything here, but it does catch some debris. This can get corroded because water will sit in there. It just helps prevent any water from getting in the carburetor because water will sit in here. But it will corrode this too, so pay attention to this as well. And it just screws in the bottom underneath here. Don't over tighten it. It goes right there. And you want to make sure when you stop vacuum on this, after it drips out of the line, that this doesn't drip anymore. This shouldn't be dripping gasoline when the bike's not running. If it is, you got to fix that petcock up there, because otherwise it'll just constantly fill your carburetor, and there'll be gas in there nonstop, and it can just overflow and cause all kinds of havoc. So make sure this is working properly. So let's get the carburetor back together. And make sure everything in here is clean. Where your needle seat goes in there, that needle seat where the needle goes, the float needle, make sure that's clean. You can stick a Q-tip down in there and spin it a couple times and make sure there's nothing coming out, and make sure the Q-tips come out nice and clean. The needle is right here, right from the throttle, so be careful there. Just you can spray some carb cleaner in there and that's fine. But I'm showing you guys how to do this on the bike. So ideally you'd want everything off and soaked and cleaned, but this is something you guys can do on your own without any special cleaners and tools or anything like that, and not have to worry about your oil line. All right, so we're looking good. Now a couple things in the bowl here. This hole right here, this is where the choke goes into, and it sucks fuel out of this cavity right here, which goes through that hole right there. So you want to make sure when you're spraying carb clean that it's spraying out of that brass hole right there. If not, you got to clean that out, or else use compressed air or something, or else your bike's not going to want to start easy in the cold. All right, so with the carburetor back on there, there's a little tab so the rotation of the carburetor is correct. I'm going to tighten that. We're going to put the two throttle lines back on. I got the fuel line on. I'm going to create some suction on this to fill the bowl up, so it'll give us an easier start up when we get everything going. All right, so before I put everything back together again, I'm just going to show you guys a startup, and then I'll put the rest of it back together again. So, all right, we're running. All good to go. We put it all back together. All right, so we're going to fire it up. Carburetor's all back on. It's good to go. Got a new battery, charged all up. So this is ice cold. Hasn't been started at all today. Just rolled it out of the shop. Can't get much easier than that to start. It's running good. We're going to take it for a little test ride and we'll let it warm up, and then we'll see how it goes. Runs perfect. Smooth. Love it. Hopefully this helps you out, guys. Please hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell for further notifications. Until next time, it's Tepcocyclerepair.